in this video, I'm going to, as briefly as I possibly can, talk about the changes that the DVSA have proposed in their 7-point plan. One of our sort of unions, if you want to call it that, the N.A.S.P, which basically acts on behalf of driving instructors, have proposed some questions to the DVSA. Now, if you watched my video a couple weeks ago, you would have seen that I was very skeptical whether any of these changes would make any difference, and it seems like I was correct. So question number one, do the measures proposed by the DVSA 7-point plan related to the booking system mean trainers can no longer swap tests over the same manner as before? And the DVSA, it is basically a long question, I'm not going to go into massive detail, because the answer was the call for evidence on the driving test booking service is a chance for all users to give their views, blah de blah de blah. They literally gave no answer. Okay, the other questions, they were a little bit more sort of forthcoming with their answers. So question number two, can ADI still swap tests over the by calling customer services and swapping pupils over? And this is what I said in the last video. I think they should stop it, because at the end of the day, the DVSA staff are doing these swaps on the phone. They're not getting paid additional. The DVSA is paying them, but these companies are making money out of that DVSA staff. At the end of the day, the DVSA staff that are on the phone are working and should be paid, therefore, by these companies that are doing this, the swaps. This is why I put that video up a couple of weeks ago. No changes have been made to the current booking service as a result of the release of the 7-point plan. We are encouraging people and businesses who use the system to complete the call for evidence. The results of this will help shape the future consultation. So, again, they've asked for our help to tell them what to do, okay? But yeah, no change. Question three, have the 450 examiners spoken of in terms of target recruitment already been recruited or in the application of? As no examiner jobs are currently advertised on Gov UK. And the answer was the 450 examiners are being recruited from the 2 recruitment campaigns that ran in July and September 2024. Again, pretty damn vague, and as I put in the video a couple of weeks ago, you would have seen that I said that there are just as many examiners leaving the industry as I'm seeing coming in, and in some test centres they are now going to negative because they are leaving and not being replaced. Question number 4, the survey on bookings is getting a lot of comments. Some suggest it is a waste of time, as those abusing the system the most won't fill it in anyway, or may rely on it. So trainers are querying the point of filling it in. And the DVSA has just basically said, well, look, we're trying to get your responses because we don't really know what to do. Question number 5, we have been asked by members of DVS if DVSA are wanting to encourage whistleblowing. Now, this is because there is some people that have been saying that some DVSA staff, and I'm not saying that this is definitely the case, but this is something that I've heard from quite a few people, are the ones that are actually selling the test. I also know of somebody that was in quite a high position that is no longer in the DVSA, which is selling driving tests. And the answer was, if any ADIs have concerns about the booking system being misused, they should speak to their LDTM, which is basically local driving test manager, who will be able to advise or raise a query with a DVSA. Now, again, a couple of years ago, there was a fantastic examiner who was an LDTM that I knew. He was a brilliant instructor. He became an examiner. He became a LDTM, and we were trying to weed out the chaff, basically. And I put evidence to him to show of what was going on. Okay, so instructors and some other people that were selling driving tests. He put that through to the DVSA, and the DVSA did absolutely nothing. And this wasn't just one. I'm talking about probably in excess of about 60 to 80 separate pieces of evidence to show who's doing this, and the DVSA's done nothing. Okay, and this was 3-4 years ago, and it's still going on. So again, they're doing nothing about it. Okay. Question 6: are we correct in saying PDIs cannot use OBS? So PDIs are basically driving instructors that aren't fully qualified yet. They're on pink badges, and I've already said this in other videos. Just because somebody has a pink badge doesn't mean they're a bad instructor. You need to try them out. Okay. But potential driving instructors can use the online booking service, but they must be attached with another business, blah, blah, blah. Nothing's really changed there, and I don't expect that to change. That's fair enough. Question 7, when will the measure of the 10-day notice period of cancellation be introduced? And I mentioned this on the previous video. Now, they're saying that they're going to try to get the change in by spring 2025. The exact date has yet to be confirmed, and we will let learner drivers and driving instructors know when this date is confirmed. So what you got to think is, if you're gearing up for a driving test and you've got your test, say, for argument's sake, on the 20th of May, okay, and then you've booked in the lesson on the 11th, okay, and I'm not saying that you should be doing this, okay, there's a lot of instructors that do kind of play the game a bit with this, but they'll book the lesson on the 11th, you do a mock test, you fail it, and then they say, right, you're gonna have to cancel your test. They then basically move the test to somebody else sometimes, but what then happens is you won't now be able to do that on the 11th, okay, because you now fall into that category. So I think they should make a date set now, so people actually know what's going on. We'll find out. How much notice will instructors receive about the introduction? And again, they've said that they'll basically give us as much time as they possibly can. Will existing test bookings be exempt from the 10-day notice? Good question. And they've said no. Okay, so this is again where this issue is going to come in. And then a few more questions. Question 10, when all candidates will all candidates be notified with ample time to move their test without penalty? Again, same sort of question. Question 11, when will the longer waiting period after a bad test fail be introduced? So what the DVSA proposed was, if you had a bad test, so you multiple serious dangerous faults, you would have to wait longer, and again they've said that they haven't got that set in stone yet. We'll find out. Question 12, how will DVSA deal with suspected misuse of the OBS? Basically exactly the same way as they do at the moment. So they'll give you a warning first of all, then they will suspend your account, and then they'll close the account. Question 13, how will these changes affect part 2, part 3, which is driving tests for driving instructors, so PDIs, and there won't be any changes to that. Will there be an increase in test fees to pay for these changes? Now, I spoke to a senior examiner in the past about this. The DVSA, and I could be wrong, but I'm going on what I've been told here, the driving test fee can only increase by 50p per year because of it being a civil service job, whatever. And the amount of money that it would cost to change the system outweighs the amount of additional income they would generate as a result of it. So that's why it hasn't changed. I've been teaching 19 years and the price has always been £62. This needs to change from Parliament to allow the prices to go up. Do I think that's going to make any changes? No, not really, because people are spending £500 on a cancelled test now. So again, let's find out and see what happens. And will all the results of DVSA surveys be published? And they've said yes. So in a nutshell, what I said in the last previous video is pretty much exactly what the DVSA said. There's not much change. I can't see there being any changes until they stop the swaps, and that has to happen on the phone. But also, as I mentioned, when it gets released back into the online system, it should come up at a random test date or a random date and time, so somebody can't just cancel it on one device and grab it on another. So I'll get my breath back. I hope that video has helped, and if you have any questions, please comment underneath.